Brookhouse here from Flow Slam, along with the hottest free agent in wrestling, Ethan Page. Ethan, how you doing?
Great. That was like the first good intro of our show ever.
Yeah, I know. Last week I had spent all day before we recorded in the ER with my pregnant fiance who had been feeling just awful for a couple days, so I was so burned out last week, but I'm feeling good. We just found out that we're having a girl earlier today, so everything's good right now.
Hey, me too. We're like twins.
Yeah, it's maybe a good thing.
What the hell? Are you saying I suck? Like, what the hell was that? Maybe it's a good thing I'm twins with the hottest free agent in wrestling.
Or maybe I meant for you, because I'm not on the road.
I was just paying you a compliment.
I will be on the road this weekend though to meet up with you, and we can throw this out now to film another way to get paid with DJZ.
Yeah, which I'm pumped about. DJZ's on frickin' fire this year.
Yeah, he's having a really, really good year. So we've got that coming. Filming that on Friday at Freelance. So
very exciting.
Should be good. But we'll get into this weekend a little later on. What's been going on in your world? It's been a little interesting, I think.
Yeah. Well, when we finished up last podcast, I was, as I said, heading to Ottawa, Ontario to debut as an actor on a television show.
Do you have a IMDb page now?
No, but I should definitely, if a fan wants to open one up for me, that would be great. So I play a character on a television show. The TV show is called Impact Wrestling. You can see it on Pop TV or the Fight Network in Canada. And apparently some other channels too. I have to look before I actually start talking. But so I play a character on Impact Wrestling, and I'm the cousin of Joseph Park. My name on the TV show is Chandler Park.
Yeah, that caused immediate stuff on the internet where people were like, "Well, I guess he's Chandler Park now." But
no. Guys, my contract with TNA, which allows me to do everything else, which is why I'm allowed to call myself the hottest free agent still, while being a television actor, is because the contract is to be an actor and play a character on a TV show. I'm that good, guys.
So you went there, you made your debut, you just did one day of the TV tapings, right?
Yeah, in and out. Thursday, got treated like a slave, finished man. So apparently my first episode airs November 30th. So November 30th, make sure you tune in to Impact Wrestling. And then I have stuff filmed up until the next set of tapings, which is like middle of January.
Yeah, so I think, we might as well hit one of the fan questions that came in. There was a question about how often you would be on Impact. Is it a every TV taping deal now?
I don't know. Moving forward, I think the way they have it set is my character will show up every week until the next taping starting November 30th, but I don't know if I'll even be at those tapings. I have no confirmation on anything. And the way we filmed, like my character could get written off TV, no problem, but my character could also like have a new story arc. So like it's very open-ended at this moment, which I'm not against. I think what we filmed is really good, so I'm excited for everybody to see it. But no promises that I'll return, but no promises that I won't. It's kind of very much up in the air.
Okay, so obviously you can't tell everything about what you filmed there.
Which is that's why that answer I just gave you was so poo-poo.
Right. The internet is the internet, so you can see that there were 2 matches filmed. It's on your Cage Match profile.
Oh my, is it really?
Yeah, man, those spoilers, they get out there and they're updated everywhere. So I know your results right now. But was
I
think I lost you.
my browser just decided to freeze up on me.
Okay, well, I will have fun editing that together. So,
yeah, sorry. Let's go back. So,
on the internet, on your Cage Match profile, it shows 2 matches. My question was going to be, was there would you say it was more significant backstage stuff than in-ring stuff? Or not necessarily backstage, but more storyline stuff than your in-ring stuff?
Yeah, like for real, like it's a legit character. That's like there is 0% Ethan Page.
Okay. And is that, I mean, freeing or limiting for you? Like, do you see that as like, I'm stuck with this character, so when this character doesn't have anything, then I don't have anything? Or is it just nice to have a break and like you said, basically take on an acting role?
Well, I think for me, like, so I went from that Thursday, playing a 100% character on a TV show, to driving and then flying to Seattle. I'll go over my entire trip that weekend. It was
I guess before we drill down into
the
finer details.
But yeah, so I ended up going to Seattle and being myself, which is the professional wrestler Ethan Page. So I don't mind having this 100% different character to play on a television show. It's 100%, like it has no attachment to me. Like if they named the character Ethan Page and then started changing a bunch of stuff about it, obviously I would be very like, well, that's not really me, blah, 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 blah. But it's my body, my face, but it's their character.
All right, fair enough.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that. It's it would be much more concerning for you to be playing a character you had less control over that was Ethan Page.
Yeah, and too, like the environment, filming and stuff. Obviously, when we first started out, I was very cautious of tossing ideas around just because, new face in a new place. So I didn't want to, overstep my bounds. But like Joseph Park to work with is amazing. The staff at Impact was amazing, like the video crew, the director, all that kind of stuff. So everything that we got to film, by the end of it, I was pitching lines to Joseph Park and vice versa. And it was more of like a collaboration. And you could tell, you might even be able to tell with some of the vignettes, there'll be more, you'll be able to tell how much more relaxed I am and more like comedically free to do whatever I wanted. So it like the atmosphere was amazing. So to be able to do a character like that, and I don't want to say no strings attached because obviously there's direction and lines you have to hit and whatnot, but it was very creatively free to screw up and say something and them go, I don't really like that. Let's try this.
Okay, cool. We've got a lot more Impact to talk later, but let's hit the rest of your weekend.
Sure. So before we get to the shows, can I just go over my trip from hell?
Absolutely.
So the way Canada works, where I live, is a town called Hamilton, Ontario. To drive through Toronto, you have to to drive to Ottawa, you have to go through Toronto, which is one of, if not the busiest city in the entire country. So to make it to Ottawa, I had to go through Toronto, and that trip alone is 5.5 hours, which I had to drive to Impact. So I left the night before. So this is Wednesday night at about 10 p.m. to make it about 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning to a hotel. Because if I left in the morning, I wouldn't have been able to make the 1 p.m. call time. I would have ended up hitting traffic for the commuters because it was the middle of the week. So my weekend started on Wednesday night. I drove through the night, ended up sleeping on the floor before my television wrestling debut. So I had the worst sleep ever. It was god awful. And Brandon told the referee was in the hotel, and he is the worst snorer on earth. So he just kept waking me up with his freaking jolly green giant snore out of the smallest human being on earth. So wake up, ended up forgetting my tracksuit in Canada, which is the entire character. So had to find a Winners, buy all new stuff, go out for lunch with C4 promoter Mark P and Player Uno or Evo Uno to see them. They're from the area, so made the trip worth my while. And then ended up doing the tapings. The taping, my stuff ended at around 10:30. There was a snowstorm. I had to drive from Ottawa to the Toronto airport because Defy had already booked my flight before I even confirmed with Impact. So I had to make it back now 4.5 hours to the airport. My flight is at 7 a.m., so I wasn't allowed to stop to sleep because I had to get there for international flight 2 hours before. So I made it just in time, got on the flight, traveled all the way across to the other side of North America with different time zone. I didn't even know what time of the day it was. Did Defy, which amazing promotion, fantastic. Can't say enough nice things. We'll get into detail about that. Then my flight was at 5 a.m. to the next morning, whatever time that is. In my time, I have no idea. But my flight was at 5 a.m. in Seattle, which got me in Philly at 4 p.m. Did CZW, drove through the night, hit a deer at 2 a.m., almost died. I was asleep, thank God, or else the sight of hitting the deer would have freaked me out and I probably would have stiffened up. So I was out cold. The deer hit us on my side of the car while I was asleep. That didn't wake me up. What woke me up was Space Monkey freaking out. So we ended up just continuing to drive. We didn't actually end up in the side of the road. So we drove like maybe another 10 kilometers, which is like 6 or 7 miles, to find a set of lights on at 2 a.m. for a gas station. We pulled into the gas station. Police came, whatever. They got a report. We ended up having to get the car to an impound lot so we could get the insurance company to come look at it. There was where we were was the smallest town ever, I guess, outside of Binghamton, New York. So there was no Uber, no Lyft, no taxis that were willing to drive us to an airport to get a rental car, and no rental car places that opened until 9 or 10 a.m. So we ended up having to call a shuttle service from the airport to drive 30 minutes out to grab us and drive us 30 minutes back to the airport, which ended up being close to $100. And then so we hit the deer at 12 a.m. or 2 a.m. Sorry, we were supposed to be back in Hamilton for 7 a.m. We ended up getting back in Hamilton around 1:30, 2 p.m. So it was the longest day of excruciating bullshit. So I left on Wednesday, got home at 2 p.m. on Sunday, and I was supposed to be at my baby shower that I was hosting that started at 1 p.m. My poor wife was there by herself, which she hates, being a host and having to actually speak to other human beings. She's just very shy. So I commend her for being a good host until I showed up and obviously entertained the entire place. But yeah, so it was a rough weekend.
Yeah, that sounds lengthy and frustrating.
Yeah, sorry. That was very long. Sorry. I just wanted to give the entire travel synopsis to get like a full picture of how not lavish independent wrestling is.
Well, no, and I didn't mean lengthy as in your explanation. I think that's one of the best things about the show right now is that it is very much an active, pretty in the moment look at the life of somebody that is actually very hot on the indies right now. So still not the sexiest lifestyle.
No, man. And like to make this work too, it was so BS because, and I don't mean BS because I wasn't treated well. I was, but so to add Impact so last minute to my trip, I had to drive there and back to the airport for Defy, but I had to leave my car at the airport to fly to Seattle, to fly to Philly, and then drive home. But I'm still an hour away from the airport when I get to my house. So I had to find a ride after the baby shower to the airport just to pick up my car and come back home. So it just added like 2 more hours to my trip.
Right in that zone when all you wanted to do was go to sleep, I'm sure.
Oh man, I was like delirious at that point.
Yeah, that's rough. So, what? I mean, I know the answer to these, but what were you doing in Defy? What was that?
So I wrestled Tom Lawler, which was great. It was actually more comedy than actual wrestling. So that turned out really well. And then when it got down to the wrestling, it was actually very good too. So if you can go out of your way to check that out, we had Brian Alvarez as his ring guy, or what's the?
I guess you could just say second. He was his second.
Yeah, or his manager.
Right.
Like he carried his banner and his spit bucket and his belt and all that stuff. And then we ended up using him for one of the spots. So it was a really good experience. I'd wrestle Tom Lawler any day of the week. If there's any promoters hesitant in booking him, he's great. And he's only had, I think he said 50 matches or something like that, which is wild. He's a natural. So
yeah, that's really interesting to me. Just, I mean, my background being an award-winning MMA journalist. It's always interesting to me when I see people make the transition from MMA to wrestling, and I always want to know, from guys that are working with them how they're actually doing. So that's good to hear about Tom. He was a really, really big personality in MMA, so it's not hard to see the transition, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Like he just brings that to wrestling.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
That larger than life, persona. So while we're talking about Defy, I'll put over my Who is Ethan Page liking on the Indies now, or whatever that segment is called. So from Defy, there's a guy named Brody King, and he wrestled Shane Strickland in like one of the wildest main events ever. And that crowd in itself in Seattle, I'll talk about it in a second. But Brody King is a little taller than me, a little thicker than me, covered in tattoos, huge beard, like green hair, just looks like an absolute murderer. And he's so smooth in the ring, and their match was so great. So any more attention that I could bring to him, I guess that's why this segment is for. But yeah, check him out, Brody King.
Yeah, and the Defy guys seem like genuinely really good people. When we were down at WrestleMania weekend, just by sheer coincidence, at WrestleMania, we were sitting next to the Defy promoters, and they seem like genuinely good guys. So,
oh man, the coolest dudes ever. And like, so they set us up with this VIP meet and greet, and the meet and greet went so good. Like the fans were so awesome. They were so respectful and like supportive, and like I got so many cool gifts. And like, I'm not saying that makes a good fan. I'm just saying, it's flattering for someone to think of me, especially when like they're paying to come watch the show. And I got like this cool Deadpool Daredevil t-shirt, Doctor Doom t-shirt, a custom Ethan Page action figure. Someone on my entrance gave me a Taco Bell gift card, which I've already used. If you're listening, on the way home, I treated myself and Space Monkey to some Taco Bell. And it was just such a great experience. The fans were so welcoming, especially for a debut. So it was awesome. I can't say enough good things about the company itself, the fans, the wrestlers, and the management.
Yeah, it's always nice to see like a market that should be a really good market for wrestling, but hasn't really had the right promotion. It's always nice to see them get some guys that seem to know what they're doing and have good intentions.
Well, apparently the state of Washington has like an abundance of laws that people have to.
Yeah, I think there's like crazy insurance involved, and
and like there's like an athletic commission that treats professional wrestling as like a legit sport. So like there has to be so many. Like, I guess they just passed where you don't need a license to wrestle there, but you used to, and it was like a month ago that they had that. So I guess that's why they've been putting off bringing me out. They were telling me was because I would have had to apply, like send in like blood work and do all these tests just to get a license for like one show. So they just got that passed, but there's a bunch of like hoops they got to jump through just to do these events. So it's cool that they're willing to do that and treat it like a real business and give the fans something that they can actually look forward to.
Yeah, right on. And then CZW, that was your title defense against Space Monkey, right?
Yeah, which was awesome. The Southside crew is super hyped about it. We ended up having Hokey, the guy that does the GIFs or GIFs on Twitter. He hooked Southside up with some footage of it, so they might be releasing a video. But it was cool to have a title defense first time ever in the United States and to be the guy to do it and to do it with Space Monkey. I really liked the match. It turned out really good. It's a podcast, so I feel like I can't just lie all the time and just suck everybody off. The crowd really sucked, which was like super weird because the last time I was there, it was myself and Shane Strickland, and they were saying the crowd was a little quiet then, but we ended up getting them into it, and I really loved that match with Strickland. And then this time they were even more quiet, and I don't know if because there was people there. Like,
okay, but were they quiet for your match or quiet for the whole show?
So people were telling me that the Canadians saved the show because the first match, which, by the way, heartbreaking moment, JT Dunn, I think, injured his hamstring in the opening match. So I don't know if he's doing a GoFundMe or I don't know what JT's doing, but check out his Twitter. If he's probably said something about it, I don't know. But help him out. Buy a t-shirt off Pro Wrestling Tees. I don't know how America works. I don't know if he has insurance. I don't know if he has healthcare. I have no idea. But crazy freak accident. He was running, him versus Ace Romero, and it was nobody's fault. And he ended up really severely injuring his hamstring. So please, if anyone can help him out, help him out. But during their whole match, and they've wrestled each other before, and I've seen them wrestle each other before and absolutely tear it up. And they were having one of those matches where the crowd should have been really into it. And it's like that old cliche of you can't blame the crowd, you can only blame the wrestler, which to an extent it's true. And I instantly changed our game plan as soon as I saw that. And to Sami Callihan's credit, he did pull a lot of the wrestlers aside and tell them, like, hey, you have to pander to this crowd. They're not going to make noise unless you beg them, which for me is never an issue. So we changed our game plan a bit, but the first two matches were absolutely like, I would pay somebody to superimpose crowd reactions so that somebody makes noise.
That's just brutal. That's
super strange. It's super, and I was talking to DJ Hyde about it too, and he was like, "This is really weird." So I don't know what happened, and like there was a point. I don't want this to come off as like a negative CZW thing because I've enjoyed the last 2 months I've been there, and I'll be there for Cage of Death, which I'm very excited about. But for some reason, man, it was just like people weren't there to watch wrestling, but there were people there, which is so strange. So strange.
It's a weirdly infectious thing with crowds where if the tone isn't set right initially, then everybody just, dies. Or if the tone is set great early on by even a small handful of people, then, you end up with a really good crowd. Or you get the assholes who are, chanting or yelling dumb shit, and then that turns into everybody wanting to do it. It's very groupthink with crowds. But
it wasn't like that because there was a point in my match where, like, let's say I'm standing over Space Monkey and there's dead air, and I kind of just looked around and I was like, did they give you pillows when you entered? Like when you gave them your ticket? I'm like, do you guys all have narcolepsy? And they were just like, haha. And I was like, no, this is CZW. Like, you guys suck. And one guy in the crowd goes, thank you, man. You're so right. And I was like, oh, that's so awkward that I could have a conversation with somebody.
Yeah, that's... Oof.
So we ended up getting them into it. Apparently, we saved the show. I don't know how it's going to turn out on tape. I hope to God that it turns out good, and maybe I'm just no. Everyone was unanimously saying that it was strange, but yeah.
But overall, happy with the match anyway.
Oh yeah, the match was great. I have good chemistry with Space Monkey. I do. I try different things with Space Monkey just because I'm comfortable with him. I know he's not going to injure me. Plus, I also like popping him when I do stuff like I did the springboard enziguri while he was on the apron. I busted out some other stuff just to make him laugh. So yeah, it was a really good match, and I still would suggest checking out the VOD when it comes out on czwstudios.com, just because the main event was amazing. Well, no, it wasn't the main event. It was the semi-main event. Joe Gacy versus Shane Strickland. Damn, dude. One of the craziest matches that I've ever seen live, just how good it was. And by that point, the crowd really ended up getting into it, which I was very happy about. And then, spoiler alert, but Ricky Shane Page ended up winning the CZW title. So it was awesome to see that as one of his friends and see like that was a goal he set out when he first started out with CZW. So I was very, very happy and fortunate to be in the audience, standing with DJ Hyde, watching how happy DJ was and how happy Ricky was in the ring, being one of the first people there when he came to the back to shake his hand and give him a hug. So it was very cool.
I was going to ask if the crowd was into it by the main event, because that, like, the semi-main and the main were like big storylines that CZW was hyping up for weeks. So
yeah,
that just would have been strange if, because usually, especially the stuff that follows the storylines that they push, the crowd gets pretty behind. So
yeah, they ended up thankfully getting into it, but there's like some rough moments of dead silence early on in the show, which extremely heartbreaking.
All right, so the South Side thing is something I wanted to ask about, just because it's something that is always kind of interesting to me when you have a title and you're going around defending it in various promotions. Like, how much planning and I guess contact is required to make that work? Because like you just had the WrestleCircus cancellation, which we can get to a little bit, but you filled that with another show in Illinois, and it's going to be a Southside title defense, right?
Yeah, so they asked me about it, which I'm cool with. My biggest thing is, I guess I'll talk about the whole thing in general. I don't want to say I'm not a fan of people defending titles from other companies. I'm just not a fan when the outcome is predictable.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It has always been kind of a thing for me where it seems a little obvious what you're getting in, certain ways.
Right. So I wanted every match to be one match that I promote, and then it's not like multiple matches are being advertised for the title. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, if you advertise that you're defending the title on Friday one place, Saturday one place, Sunday a different place, then you're gonna have the title on Sunday.
Right, exactly. So me personally, I wouldn't have had. So we just announced, Alpha One just announced myself versus Josh Alexander for the Southside title, with Cody Rhodes as the special guest referee for our big show at the end of November, which is in, I guess, 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks. But so that was the next big match after Space Monkey that I wanted to do. I wanted to do England defense, American defense, and then Canadian one, just to say like, hey, this is a world title. And then after that, kind of a free for all of who would want to promote a big match for the title if I still defended it. And then this weekend ended up being like a legitimate like bidding war between two promotions, and then to fill that date, and then kind of like a, hey, can you do this for us? Can you do this for us? Can you do this for us? To kind of get, I guess, more value for the money so last minute. And it ended up being, I had to have to bring the title, advertise a title match, make my own graphic for the show, all to kind of fill the pot for this, or sweeten the pot for this deal to go do Proving Ground Pro on Saturday, which ended up being good because I'll be traveling in a car after freelance instead of flying all around.
All right. So, yeah, that's just something I've always been a little curious about. So
Yeah, same, yeah.
When they hit you up and, the bidding war is happening and then they say, we want this, we want that, we would like it to be a title match, you have to get in touch with Southside right away, right? Like, you can't just...
No, I have free reign. So, like, the way we worked it out was, it was actually, I wanted to travel with the title, and the original plan was for me to win no matter what. But once I knew that, I was kind of pitching to them like, hey, if you're getting this new belt made, call it a world title, because I don't think it was before. I think it was just heavyweight. Because one, I'm Canadian. I'll bring it to Canada. You'll at least know 100% get one of those. And then after that, if I can get anything in America, I'll definitely make it happen. And to them, it's just like a walking advertisement pretty much.
Yeah, at the very least, you might just be like, all right, what is that? And Google,
Right,
and,
yeah,
and
exactly,
end up
yeah.
there.
And for me right now, it's a prop to kind of continue to push the hottest free agent thing.
Right on. All right. Yeah. Okay, so anybody standing out at CZW you want to mention before we move on, or what are we looking at here?
Let me think. I would give a shout out to Space Monkey just for that match that we had. I really enjoyed it, so we'll give him the young up and coming, because he still is. I think he's only been wrestling for 3 years.
Plus he hit a deer, so
yeah. Oh man, yeah. Space Monkey gets the shout out. Check him out. Brody King and Space Monkey. Those are my up and coming Ethan Page liking persons segment choices.
Okay. So let's see. Let's rewind to Impact real quick, because I think that's kind of the big topic for the week. When was that deal done?
Like actually solidified?
Yeah, as in when did you know for sure you were heading to Ottawa?
I want to say it was the Saturday before. So so less than a week.
All right. And how much did you love putting out the contract and having people just yell at you, "Is this real?"
It was the best. So, oh man, I don't want to give too much away, but obviously there was discussions about finalizing the stuff, but it almost didn't happen, which was heartbreaking, because I was putting the contract out and I didn't know that I would end up doing Impact when I tweeted the contract, but we had spoken. Obviously when the Evolve news hit, there was like, hey, would you be interested in? But it was never finalized. So when they said that, I was like, oh, can I put this contract online? And they thought it was hilarious and let me do it. So it ended up kind of working itself into a story of Ethan Page ending up in Impact after the contract negotiations. The saddest part is that people thought it was real. And at the bottom of the contract, it said law stuff, lawyer stuff, and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't have taken getting to the bottom to figure that out, but
right, agree, 100% agreed. No disagreement on my behalf at all. But that is the solidifying fact that it's not real.
There were some people that bought it real hard, though. So.
People were telling me, sign it. We need you. Sign it. Come to Impact. Sign it. Sign it. Take the money and run. Sign it. I'm like, are you guys stupid?
All right. So kind of staying on topic, Henry Casey on Twitter asked who you're excited to work with in Impact. And I guess without knowing for sure what the long-term nature is, are there some guys on the roster that you're excited to work with that you haven't had the opportunity to before?
I am excited and happy that I just get to work with Joseph Parks and hopefully Abyss, just because Abyss is has one of the best entrance themes of all time. And if there was at all any chance that I would ever have to come to the ring with Abyss and get to come out to that music in Impact, would be like a very cool highlight in my career. EC3 is on my list of guys that I would love to do something with. I don't know the contractual details of Grado. I don't know if he is deported in storyline or not, but I would love to do something with Grado. I think the two of us would be able to put on some TV magic, especially with the character that I play in interacting with his character. So there's a little short list of dudes.
All right, that works. Let's see. Let's run through some more of these questions. Impact is now a Canadian promotion. What are your thoughts?
I don't know if it is. I don't know the complete details. Obviously, Fight Network or Anthem owns them, but they are based in Canada. But I don't think their next tapings are in Canada. So,
I don't know that they're actually a. I don't know that I would consider them a Canadian promotion right now, but
yeah. I guess time will tell. If they do end up being based out of Canada, every single taping, I would love that, just because of that's where I'm located. So traveling within the country is always easier than traveling out of the country. So yeah, I say thumbs up, I guess.
Before we hit anything else, can I just stop and point out that Mike Alcott, Pursuit_fighter on Twitter, has been making these graphics for us, and he is the best guy.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. The graphic for this week's episode, the Bitter Boys TNA or Impact logo, is so awesome.
Yeah, I was really, really happy with that. And because he has done such cool stuff for us, I'm going to run through his questions right now.
Yeah, and one Evolve weekend he came to, he brought me, which by the way, he's a great artist. He would bring me art from shows that we've done before. But I actually have a piece of his hand-painted art hanging in my house, which my wife refused to allow me to have in the man cave and forced me to put it in our hallway, which is one of the first things you see. So great art. He got me a Jessica Jones Marvel action figure and a Rocket Raccoon. So I'm forever indebted to this man. So thank you very much. Let's get to his questions.
Well, I want to make sure of one thing first. Yeah, his profile picture is you holding the Jessica Jones. So
there you go.
Okay, so first question from Mike is, anyone you want to book for A1 and haven't gotten to yet? Or Alpha 1, I guess.
Oh, man, there's so... Homicide. I've wanted to book Homicide forever. Billy Gunn, another one. I've wanted to book him forever. That's D'Lo Brown is top of my list, because I would freaking pay whatever amount of money and get Nation of Domination gear made for him if he didn't still own it. I once emailed him asking if he'd be willing to do my show and be in the Nation of Domination with myself, which I left that part out. I would just end up last minute just showing up with matching tights. But he never got back to me, so that's extremely heartbreaking. Maybe it went to his junk mail. Maybe he doesn't want to wrestle in Canada. I don't know. But D'Lo Brown, I would love to book D'Lo Brown.
Billy Gunn is one of those weird guys that when he shows up in indies, you realize how small a lot of indie guys really are, because Billy Gunn is a huge man.
So I did a match with Billy Gunn, and my partner was Cloudy from Cheech and Cloudy, the tag team. And we're about to play in the match, and he in a joking way. This is not. He wasn't mean about it at all. He was like, "Oh my god, I've never wrestled a midget before."
He's huge though.
Yeah, he's a freaking dinosaur. They don't make him like that anymore.
So Mike's next question: does all ego have an alter ego?
Yeah, his name's Joseph Parks.
No, that's definitely not your name.
Oh no, Chandler Park.
There you go.
Yeah, wow. Jeez.
Who is all ego's biggest nemesis?
My biggest nemesis, probably fans would say Johnny Gargano. Yeah,
Okay.
We had a feud in AIW. We had a feud in AAW. We had like a 2-year feud in Evolve Wrestling. And then we had a couple little shots on different indies where we wrestled each other. Yeah, I would say he's, if not the, one of my biggest nemesises. Nemesi? Nemesis? I don't know, whatever.
One more. Cody Rhodes just said his all-time favorite match is Rock Hogan from WrestleMania. Do you agree, disagree, and what's your top 5? I don't know that you want to do 5 off the top of your head, but you can throw out a couple.
I don't know if I can do 5 off the top of my head. That's up there. Hogan, Rock. Rock, Austin, all 3 of them are up there for me. WrestleMania matches. Man, I don't know. I think of matches that like stick out to me, and it's like WrestleMania 10 ladder match with Michaels and Razor, Macho Man versus Steamboat. That's obviously up there. Oh geez, Randy Orton versus Chris Benoit from SummerSlam, where Randy Orton won the title for the first time. I mean, they ended up having a just as good or better match the next night on Raw. Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle, WrestleMania.
I think you actually may have hit 5 there.
There you go.
I mean, if you count all 3 Rock Austin matches, you're way beyond 5.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Then, yeah, there you go.
All right.
No, sorry. I forgot to say, this is a big one for me. Hulk Hogan versus Vince McMahon, WrestleMania 19.
Okay.
I would say if Vince McMahon is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
All right. That is needing explanation. I mean, I think I know where you're coming from, but you got to get into that.
Vince McMahon is one of, if not the biggest draw in WWE history.
Yeah, there's no doubt there.
Making him so valuable that when he wrestles, that match is already hitting that Zack Sabre Jr. versus Matt Riddle star rating level.
Well, and I mean, to go even further, he delivers in the ring too.
That's what I'm saying. It's like he goes with what he's good at, which is causing himself excruciating pain.
Yeah, and swaggering around and throwing punches like
just the most natural charisma anyone could ever have, which I'm sure is why he's so successful at everything he does. Dude, man, Shawn Michaels versus Vince McMahon, great match. Watch him just eat that ladder with his forehead, no hands. Everything that Steve Austin did with Vince McMahon, amazing. The Backlash match with Shawn Michaels and God versus Shane and Vince, amazing. All the stuff with Vince and Trump, just their faces and the way they were like present. Oh, it's so great. Everything Vince does is like, he is a legitimate, like, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Sports entertainers.
All right. Let's see. We've got, any major dude said, have you been to Disneyland? The Guardians of the Galaxy ride is sick.
Okay, so I've been to Disney World. I've never been to Disneyland. Been at Disney World like 6 times. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. Disneyland, I've yet to go. We planned on going, but then ended up getting pregnant, so we're pushing that back a little bit. But we do plan on going. I can't wait to do the Guardians ride because that's, if not my number one, my number two favorite Marvel movie. So yeah, dying to see it.
Yeah, and I think that's coming to Disney World too. So
hopefully,
yeah. I mean, we got our Disney World trip in right before not right before the pregnancy, but shortly before the pregnancy. That was when you ran Flow Slam. Was when I went on vacation.
So. Oh, nice. Was the Avatar stuff open?
Yeah, the Avatar stuff had been open for a little bit, and it was pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet, so dying to check those out.
All right, let's see. I think we've only got a couple actual questions left. Streamer Club John said, "How was your Defy experience?" I think that you covered that, but you can put Defy over some more.
Yeah, no, I definitely covered it, but experience-wise, I actually text the promoter a couple days after, telling him it was one of the best experiences I've had as a professional wrestler. So top to bottom, like just everything you could appreciate, like the small things that you end up getting lucky with or a promoter kind of does on a whim. They did all of them for everything. So it was just the best.
Okay, let's kind of expand on that. What is a small thing that you wish more promoters nailed?
Having water backstage.
Oh, yeah.
They had an unlimited supply. If you wrestle late on a show, you go to have a water after your match, they're all gone. Because the first half of the show takes 30 bottles, or Michael Elgin's on the show, and he fills his jug up with 10 water bottles, and then you're left with none. So Defy, an abundance of water. They had sandwiches. It was a small catering. I think they were sponsored by a sandwich place. They had food for the boys, which is great, especially when you're traveling from one side of the country to the next side of the country. And I'm not eating airplane food. Like the flights aren't long enough to have dinner. I don't have enough time on my layover to eat, and all I have is protein bars. And I was teaching a seminar, so I had to go straight from the airport to the venue. There was no like sit down lunch or anything. So just having food there was great. Enough tables for merchandise. They made sure that there was enough room for everybody to have merchandise. They had a photographer at the merch table for the meet and greet. It's all just like very small stuff. The hotel was nice and had a shuttle to the airport that ran every 5 minutes. To one, get a hotel. That's great, because sometimes it's the promoter's house, which is fine. I understand. I'm a promoter as well. But to have a hotel that has a shuttle, there was Evolve shows that I had where the hotel didn't have a shuttle.
Yeah, and
it's all just small things that just make life extremely easy.
Yeah, I mean, the food and water thing especially, you can get away with not paying a ton of money for just having some food and water backstage.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. What do you have coming up this weekend?
So this weekend, after the changes with WrestleCircus, I'll be in the, I guess, Midwest is the proper terminology. I'll be at Freelance Wrestling on Friday night doing a Survivor Series match. I'm on Team Stevie versus Team Shug. And then filming for you guys earlier in the day a sit-down interview with DJZ. Then the next day I'll be wrestling for Proving Ground Pro, defending the Southside World Heavyweight Championship in an open challenge. And then I'll be coming home and probably selling toys at a toy show, depending on when I get back.
All right, so that should actually be a relatively easy weekend to travel for you then.
Yeah, to Chicago, sleep, go to the next show, and then come home.
Yeah, it's probably like 4 hours to the other show in Illinois.
I'm hoping not that far, but yeah.
It might be 3. You get to Illinois and Indiana, and they've got those weird long stretches.
Yeah, my biggest worry is just the trip home. I'm hoping it's sideways and not like deeper into the country?
It is definitely southwest of Chicago.
Okay, so kind of diagonal.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so yeah, that'll be a good weekend. We've got the DJ Z thing like we talked about, which we'll put out a call for questions because that always makes that. I don't know. I was gonna say that always makes that go easier, but both times we've done it so far, you guys have ran like way over, and we've barely touched the questions. But those should still come in.
That's a good thing, though, just because it means conversation is naturally flowing and everything is going well.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, make sure that you listen to the special bonus episode we put out with the Eric Cannon, Another Way to Get Paid, where I just fucked up the video so bad that it was basically unusable.
Yeah, so for sure show up with, more prepared.
Yeah, and as long as DJZ doesn't also get a flat where he has to duck out early and then I run late so that we have no time to set up, then we should be good this weekend.
Yeah, I think we'll be good. But I did want to touch on this Circus thing.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure how much you wanted to get into it, so it's very frustrating. And I don't want to get into too much detail about why the show was canceled or not. But the event is in 5 days. They canceled it yesterday. So the show is what, Saturday? It's less than a week.
It's less than a week, right. So I don't, and they haven't gotten anyone's flights. So it's not like they're in the loss per se. And I don't want to say anything bad because the reason they're canceling the show is not a negative one in a sense that they're not doing it on purpose. They were put in a situation that, yeah, okay, it makes sense to cancel the show. But there was for sure ways around it in a sense that there are other people that help out with the company that could run the event. They could offer the wrestlers half of their pay just because of the cancellation so last minute. Because when you're running a company that is steadily producing events, there's a trust with the wrestlers to take your dates and expect them to happen.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's the two-way street of promoter and wrestler where if I take your date, then I have the responsibility to show up. You have the responsibility to, provide me with the money or at least something resembling of what we agreed on.
Right. And so my frustration with that is that the event is in 5 days and canceling it with no kind of my biggest frustration was that the email that was sent to us ended with "please respect our privacy," and my thing is oh, so you get to give us this bad news, but we're not allowed to talk to you now.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it was probably the same thing that was put out on Twitter for the most part, as far as
what was said on Twitter. I don't follow.
I don't remember it, but it did end with the "please respect our privacy." Which some fans took issue with, others.
Well, of course, okay because my biggest gripe with wrestling is this whole family thing. Oh, we're a family. Our fans are family. Our wrestlers are family. Yada yada yada. And it's stupid because you know what? Family will forgive. I understand that 100%. I don't think I'm family members with anybody in wrestling unless my legitimate relatives become wrestlers. So I treat this like a business, and I had a show on that day for a specific fee and travel plan and whatever. And 5 days before it was canceled, and then I don't have permission to ask my quote unquote employer why, or will I be compensated for this cancellation, or is there a next show? Because I don't know. the way it was left was very wide open.
Yeah, and I think there's a bigger obligation to the wrestlers than the fans. I mean, obviously, it inconveniences fans who were planning travel or whatever.
Sure, and I know they all got refunded.
Right, and I was going to say that's where the obligation stops for me with the promotion and the fans is refund, apology. That's all you can do.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
But when it comes to people who are making their livelihood by taking bookings on your show, then there's respect becoming a two-way street where you have an obligation to also deal with what you are doing to them.
Right. And so here's the kicker. Canuck Pro was actually my original booking on this day.
Okay, so you were booked for Canuck
Pro. That show, obviously, my theory is that the wrestlers canceled Canuck Pro. We can go into detail on that if you want, but...
Oh, I'd love to.
So, Canuck Pro canceled, and WrestleCircus, I think they were pretty vocal about like how sucky that is that people did that. And then they kind of scooped up a lot of the guys that were booked on that show, which I commend them for because it was awesome of them. And they were very like supportive of the fact that they were going to bring these guys into work. And then they ended up canceling too. So I was right back in the same boat.
Yeah, that's a little rough.
So major ups to Proving Ground Pro for convincing me to wrestle for so cheap on such a last minute. You win. I feel like a whore.
But I mean, that's when you're taking bookings as far out as, I mean, somebody that's in demand is taking bookings months and months in advance. I mean,
I have stuff till December of 2018.
Yeah, I was going to say I know a lot of people that already have a lot of 2018 filled up, but you're planning on it. It's already a weird enough industry that you're working in where if you suffer an injury, like the hit that your household takes because you're not making that money. So if you're healthy and losing out on a booking when you could have taken any number of other bookings, that's like a serious issue.
Well, yeah, especially when you have a child on the way and your wife's not going to be working soon. It's just, yeah. And then do I trust them to host the next event and actually come through? I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean that's a risk they have to deal with now, but they've made a decent name for themselves. And
yeah, no, I've never had an issue at events with them. I love their shows and I love their fans. They're the coolest fans on earth. So, I'm booked for their December show. I mean, I'm just gonna hope for the best and see if it happens.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, they seem serious enough about their business, and they've become one of the quote unquote super indies and everything to where, I mean, I would have a reasonable amount of faith that December show would happen because 2 months in a row is, kind of...
Oh, that's the nail in the coffin.
Right. So I would expect it to happen, barring, I don't know the full details of what's going on with them, and this isn't the place to
discuss it.
Right.
For sure.
But yeah, anyway, that's WrestleCircus. So anything else going on you want to hit before we wrap?
Oh yeah, the Connect Pro thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so this is my theory. I've kind of run this theory by a couple people. And okay. So I'm going to go through the timeline of Canuck Pro. So let's say on a Friday night, I'm just using Friday as a day. Friday night, the promoter DM'd me on Twitter asking, hey, can you buy flights with PayPal? And I said, oh, for sure. You just have to find the right website that accepts that as their payment. And he said, okay, cool. Then I think the next day or the day after, BJ Whitmer put out that long typed out email or tweet. It was like a photo of text explaining that all the Ring of Honor guys got canceled off this Canuck Pro show, and that he's a scumbag, and it was a sham, and they never booked the travel, blah 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 blah. So my theory is the one show he was running, his first show, he didn't end up selling a bunch of tickets, and he got kind of freaked out and canceled a couple of the people off the show. Not everybody, a couple. So I'm guessing he's never promoted before. So he just thought, oh, it's okay, I'll cut costs, but I'll still run the show. So the show was going to happen. Because why would he contact me the day before or the day before that and ask me how he could buy flights if he didn't intend on actually doing that?
Right, and I'll butt in here real quick with the thing from Whitmer, because it's fairly short and this saves people from having to dig through his timeline. It was real quick. It was concerning Canuck Pro after several unreturned emails. Zero travel has been booked for Ring of Honor talent for October 21st show in Calgary, and we're currently 16 days out from the show. It's been zero correspondence from Canuck Pro in over a week, and at this point, travel must be booked for the ROH talent for our TV taping in Philadelphia. Company is nothing more than a fantasy fed that never planned on running one event. To the talent that has been booked by this guy, I hope you got a deposit. To the few fans that have already purchased tickets to this event, I hope you're able to get your money refunded.
And that spiraled into wrestlers saying, well, I'm available on this day, and this date. And it was kind of just like a downpour of the wrestlers canceling the shows without him actually canceling the shows.
Yeah, that makes sense. But, I mean, when you see that, I could understand being like, shit, I'm getting out and just getting booked somewhere I know I'm going to make money.
For sure. So I think him not publicly saying anything kind of, because while the BCW cancellations in Canada and Ottawa, while that was happening, Canuck Pro was saying, don't worry, our show is real, blah, 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 blah. So, like, that's a bold thing to do if you're just going to end up doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
So I think that the negativity from that BJ Whitmer thing caused such an uproar that all the wrestlers canceled themselves off that he literally just went, well, F this, and just kind of disappeared into the darkness, or like Homer Simpson into the bushes.
Yeah, I mean, once you've lost all the talent, then what do you do?
Yeah.
All right, so there ended the show with a double shitting on of promotions and.
No.
I know. Just trying to keep everybody happy here.
Yeah, come on, man. What the hell? You can't say I'm shitting on people. That's not true. I hope the December WrestleCircus event happens. For them to not understand wrestlers' frustration would be very naive. Obviously, whatever's happening with Al and Lexi, I hope they're in a good place and healthy and happy. And I would like a little bit more detail on what is to come and stuff, just because there are people that do depend on this for their living. So,
right on. All right, so we've covered what you're doing this weekend. Plug your shit.
Yeah. ProWrestlingTees.com. Black Friday sale coming soon. Make sure you absolutely abuse that. Ethan Page is the ProWrestlingTees.com/Ethan Page. Twitter @OfficialEgo. Instagram, I'm starting to get a little better with that on my Instagram stories @official_ego. Someone already took my Twitter handle on Instagram. It's so stupid. But yeah, so check them out. Yeah, what's up?
Hey, okay, one last topic.
Sure.
Because I keep seeing this shit pop up in my timeline. What is your take on these, the role-playing guys?
Oh, it's flattering, I guess.
Okay, it's such a weird thing to me that I was just curious, because you've definitely got your own.
Yeah, no, I've had a couple. There was one that was dating a role-playing Veda Scott, and they got like super graphic and sexual, which I was like, oh, okay, this one I'm going to have to block. But yeah, so I've had to deal with them before. But I mean, it's just, to me, it's flattering. I don't think it's weird at all.
All right. That's fair enough. There's also like an Ethan Page's ass or Ethan Page's butt out there.
Oh yeah, from yeah.
Right on. So, yeah, go buy shirts. Black Friday is a very good time to buy shirts.
And let's do a big plug for Alpha One Wrestling on November 26th, which is the biggest show of the year. Please, 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 if you're in the area or close by, go out of your way to check the show out. It's absolutely stacked. It's got Jody Fleisch versus DJ Z. It's got Keith Lee versus Kurt Stallion versus Alex Daniels in Alex Daniels' retirement match. Myself versus Josh Alexander for the Southside World title with Cody Rhodes as the referee. Newly crowned CZW World Champion versus Kobe Durst for the Alpha Male title in a fight for survival, which is like our big blow-off match. Anything goes. Gregory Iron defends his title against Shane Saber. There's a huge Outer Limits Royal Rumble title match with Stokely Hathaway as the champion and a bunch of surprises planned for that. So, yeah, go out of your way and please check this show out.
Yeah, I'm absolutely sounds like a show that needs to be checked out as long as Stokely doesn't lose the title.
I mean, good luck. There's over 10 guys in this Royal Rumble with guys not announced, and he's entering as number 1 as punishment. So
you're wasting talent there.
Well, so he's supposed to defend the title, and he promised Alpha One that he would defend the title as much as possible and get them video footage and stuff, which is what the belt was for. Good publicity, and he's yet to do that. So they harassed him enough to get him to actually defend the title, and all he did was offer Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy money to pin them. And Orange Cassidy he's like, I don't need money. Just pin me. So he literally laid his arm over him while they both sat in a chair and tried to call that a title defense. So I guess Alpha One was like, well, if you're going to defend the title like that, we're going to make you truly defend it at Final Act.
All right. So Alpha One Final Act coming up at Official Ego on Twitter, at Brent Brookhouse on Twitter for me. I don't remember what you said your Instagram was, but it's a variation of Official Ego.
Yep. Official _ ego.
And ProWrestlingTees.com/Ethan Page.
Dope. This is a good episode.
Yep, do all that, and then make sure that you subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please throw us a rating and review, as long as you're going to be very, very nice, because that helps us so much with the iTunes people. And then eventually we can get our numbers up to where we can just retire and podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to retire from wrestling, but I would if the money was there,
Right on. Okay, I will see you in a couple days, and we will talk to the rest of you on next Wednesday, coming out next Thursday.
Yeah, so next Thursday.
Yeah, later, man.
Peace.